Hey, what's going on? Another podcast here. This time it's with Oliver Martin, who I've spoken to twice already. This is the third time we've spoke. And just like the last time, we start out with a bit of an update as far as his work with these powerful psychedelic drugs that he's been using with other people. He started out with a large group of people originally and hosting these ceremonies with a co-worker, you could say, and with a partner. And since then, he's just gotten smaller and smaller with his practice, and it seems like now he's basically working one-on-one with people instead of this large group scenario. So that was interesting to talk about, just for what reasons he moved in that way. This conversation was also recorded over a month ago now, in mid-December, which is important to note in this because one of the main things we talk about in the later half of this conversation are cryptocurrencies, something Oliver knows a lot about. He spent a lot of time researching them recently, and something I know very little about. So it was interesting for me to learn from Oliver about it, but I imagine the questions I'm asking are probably, if you already know about cryptocurrencies, let me apologize for not being more educated about it. So Oliver does educate me a bit, and he also sent me some of this currency called Verge that he was really into at the time, and had been researching a lot and buying some of it. So he sent me some. At the time that he sent me it, it was worth, I think, like a penny, like in US dollars, it was worth like a penny or something. And so he sent me, I think, like $40 Canadian-ish amount of Verge, which was like over 2,000 Verge, right? So he sent me this cryptocurrency basically to help me get into it and sort of learn about it, which I appreciate, which has been kind of cool and fun to track how it's been moving and stuff. And then like just soon after he sent me it, actually it shot up. So it was worth like $40 Canadian. And then in later December, it was worth like, it got up to like $500 worth in this Verge currency. So it was very cool. I was like, oh man, sweet. And then it's gone down a bit since then, but it's still worth like $300 or something, this $40 that he sent me. So it's very interesting. Obviously this cryptocurrency stuff is up and down, right? It's going all over the place. But for people who have done the research and know what they're doing, it sounds like a lot of people are making a lot of money on this stuff, but that's not really the main focus that Oliver brings to this. And what was interesting to me, and what pulls me into the discussion, is talking about taking the power away from the major banks. And that's something we talk about when it comes to cryptocurrencies in this podcast, is how really it's the people who control the money that have the power. And this cryptocurrency, all of these currencies like Bitcoin, although, okay, we could talk about why Oliver says don't get into Bitcoin, get into this other stuff, but they have this potential to maybe shift how money is handled in our cultures, and it's really fascinating. So that was a fun part of the discussion. Thanks, Oliver, for talking to me, man. Always good talking to you. And that's it. Enjoy it. Peace.
It's about love, not cash. Stealing money from the poor's a bit rash. Line your pockets, fill your tanks with your rockets. Look at it, we just can't stop it. Loving your neighbour with bombs is wrong. Loving your neighbour with bombs is wrong. Just don't become late. That's the only rule. Loving your neighbour with bombs is wrong. Loving your neighbour with bombs is wrong. All been going on way too long.
So it sounds like, are you still doing those retreats? Because I remember you mentioned to me in the email that maybe you're not doing them at all anymore. Or you're just doing one-on-one.
Let's go back to the last time we spoke, which is a year ago.
Yeah, it was actually almost exactly a year, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. And I remember us both being a little in this winter blues thing, you know.
Yeah.
So and yeah, so what became clear at that point, and what I was talking about, is that I want to change the whole thing into less crowded, into more controlled surrounding. And so when we spoke, there were a January, February, March, and April session coming up,
right,
which were already booked.
Yeah.
And I also had booked September and October.
Right. So for your group sessions, you had like a bunch of people already paid, already sort of set up to come.
Yeah. And with every weekend of those 4 running, I got more the message hang up that phone, you know. So
Right. Yeah.
not to do psychedelics, but to do retreats with many people, because overall, after all these years, 4 years, you know, I ended up with half of the dosage and 4 people less, but still wouldn't be able to guarantee for everyone a safe and secure experience,
Right.
because you just can't do it when you're under.
Yeah, you're spread too thin trying to oversee all these people. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely, it wasn't possible.
So you did.
So
So you
what I-
did. Sounds like you stopped it. Then you stopped the actual retreat.
Yeah. It all went up to that point where my friend Jeroen also got into a mood where he realized that we needed to talk, and then we were again in one of those talks where he was unsatisfied, and I'm always like, I can look over flaws, you know, if the overall picture is well. So, but obviously it wasn't for him, so we got into an argument situation, and a nicely argument, because
Okay,
we
yeah.
had,
You weren't like fighting each other.
we were friends at all. We were in the end, we were always friends. So,
Right.
but well, it ended at the point that I thought maybe I tried with someone else who would be just like kind of my type, you know, with children, with more responsibility level from experience of life, an older person, a bigger person, a more muscular person, just so I have someone who would do my job as equal as myself, you know. So because Jeroen is a little bit smaller and a little bit thinner and a little bit, you know,
Are you
he's
talking
not
about like you need someone to like hold people down?
it is like this, you know, you
Yeah.
just need to carry people. When you have a 2 meter tall guy, he needs to pee and he can't even talk
Okay.
straight, and he can't even talk straight from the mushrooms.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you gotta help him or carry him to the toilet. So what you do, you know,
Yeah,
or
okay, yeah.
if he,
You need some muscle.
if it comes too late, you know, and the mattress is wet, you need someone to jump in and do it, you know.
All right. So you found did
and
you find like a new partner to work with then? Is that what
I
you're
thought, yeah, well, let me finish.
Okay.
That was the idea, yeah, because I was also pissed with the situation that I always ended up in an argument with Jay. So, then I had the idea. Okay, I do for testing. I do September, October with someone else, and we say farewell to each other for the weekends, not for the friendship, but the weekends. So it was also about to grow the friendship back to what it was before we worked together. If you have a good friend and you work together, it's a different kind of relationship you enter, and it needs a lot of consciousness to go through
A lot of work.
So the plan was to stop together in April, and on April weekend, I realized that I either stop it with him or I don't stop, you know. So I made the decision that I will cancel September, October, and just put it to the grave, you know. Just let it go, you know, and be it a thing I started with Jay, and be it the thing we ended together. So April was the last Psiloaska group retreat, number 31 in 4 years. So lots of things learned, definitely, in the process.
Yeah.
And I'm not sad that it's gone, because I'm relieved to be off of the responsibility.
Yeah.
But surely I look back with a smile and an open heart, you know.
Right.
So
that's
that
it
was
for
a good time.
for the group. So there's no more
Yeah.
group things happening with any new partner or anything. That's all.
No,
in the
no, I
past
never
now.
do this again. You
Okay.
should never say never. I know that.
Yeah. But for now,
maybe we get together and do a retreat with family members, so to speak,
Right.
like people who have been visiting weekends.
So, but are you still
like
accepting
selected.
like people who are interested in working with you, like in a one-on-one thing?
Yeah, well, the thing is that I simultaneously 2 years ago started to do private one-on-one or one-on-two sessions. So 1-on-2 is the maximum I could, as a single person, do. I have the knowledge, and I have the responsibility level, and I can oversee a situation with 2 people. That's okay. but
Right.
not more. I would not do a 1-2-3, a 1-on-3. In very rare cases, I do toad sessions with 1-on-3 because you don't send people simultaneously. You have them
Okay.
smoking
One at a
one by
time.
one.
Yeah.
But yes, but mushrooms, no go. If already if you have two people and one goes crazy, the other one wants to stand up too. What are
Yeah.
you doing?
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's cool. I
So
think that's cool that you recognized this as you went and just changed it as you went, like like realized that it was too many and just modified your approach as you went, and this is where you're at now, and this could, this will probably change a year from now too, and
yeah,
it's cool that you're
yeah,
just learning as you go, and then that you're like, I don't know, being honest about what's working and what's not, because I'm sure you make more money if you get 10
yeah.
people,
Well,
right? So you gotta
yeah.
you got to be aware enough and honest enough with yourself to pass on money, right? So that's not an easy thing to do.
It's never been about money anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But there are two things which I really am keen of, and I guess I'm maybe outstanding with this because many retreat givers, they look for other things. But my most important concerns is the first thing is to make it able that people have a non-dual experience, so they go dose-wise to the maximum and can step over into that realm of having no
Right.
body left, no ego, no mind left. And second, to create the most secure and safest surrounding that you can imagine.
All right.
So there is an easiness in letting go into that non-dual state,
Yeah.
which only a secure place can create. Because if the mind is at ease, your soul can rest in peace.
Yeah, you can let go. You got to be able to.
yeah,
You got to have
yeah,
that safety
yeah.
net for sure. Yeah.
yeah.
Cool.
So that's the reason why if I do a session, there are some people doing toad sessions on the planet, much more famous people than me. We talked about that.
Yeah.
And
Octavio.
those guys do it in a 1-hour session, and not in a place they create themselves, but just internally on another session, on another retreat. And my sessions are 5-hour sessions. So you start, what are you doing 5 hours when the total experience is 20 minutes, Yeah, the core of the 5 hours is in the middle, is the experience with Toad or 5-MeO.
Right. Yeah.
to
But you're
experience-
setting up
to-
and then you're like coming down with them and
Yeah.
talking through things or making sure they're going to be okay the rest of the day. and
Yeah,
whatnot.
yeah. The thing is, I prior to signing up people, I ask a lot of private questions, like very personal stuff, like family history of psychic issues, like family situation, age, a little bit about the whole overall life story of people. So I get a feeling,
Yeah.
can I serve this person or not? Is this a good choice to do 5-MeO
Yeah.
or mushrooms or not? So then when they signed up, I get together with them, and in a toad session, I have like 2 hours get together. I do a forest walk. I do the 5-MeO at my place. So they come to me, or I fetch them from the hotel, and then we go to the forest for 2 hours walking around in that lovely forest we have nearby.
Right. Just to get their mindset a little bit different.
Yeah, just to ground,
Yeah.
just to ground and get to know each other. And so far,
Yeah.
of all people I've served with this, everybody said, I trust you with my life. And that's something I really need to have achieved in the moment I give them the pipe. Because when they start smoking it, when they enter the session, they need to be at ease.
Yeah.
At least with the place and with me. If they're nervous, it's okay. But if they're afraid that something can happen to them while under the influence, it's not good setting.
Right.
So on a mushroom session, that's even longer because mushrooms is much more than a 5-MeO. 5-MeO is 10 minutes. But mushroom experience, psilocybin experience, you lose control for 2-3 hours, And in that, and you got to be safe in that time, and people need to trust me really deeply. And so I build up over 5 hours. I build a very deep trust, and you can say we talked about the whole life of both of us when we enter the ayahuasca session. So that's really important. And in the toad situation, I have afterwards, I prepare food for my guests, because if you have food, you re-enter the body. You know, if you eat food, you're connected with your physics. So
Right.
they have the total experience and a 5 meal. Like experiences are possible depending on what they need and want. And when they then come down, they sit at a table, have some salad, have some freshly cooked warm meal, vegan or not, whatever. So all choices, and that integrates them in their body. And then we talk a little bit about the session and say farewell, and it's 5 hours gone. So that's a toad session.
I was going to ask you about how you're feeling with doing this work after these 4 years, and because since I've stopped doing the podcast, it's been about a year since I've been having these conversations on here, and I haven't done any psychedelics in that time. Just recently, I tried mushrooms again after about 2 years.
Yeah.
Did a very small amount just to sort of feel it again.
Yeah.
But I think being away from it for a little bit was nice. I had to do some work that really didn't require psychedelic thought. I didn't have to get into that state of mind. I had a lot of sort of like monotonous work to do in my life. I had to put my life in order a bit and just work on different things. I didn't need a different perspective at the time. I needed like coffee to just work on certain things, get things done. And what I wonder is, if someone like you who's been working with people so much and being in these states of mind, guiding people through this, talking about it with them, like, do you feel burnt out at times? Like just being in this psychedelic sort of culture, this psychedelic frame of mind a lot. Do you have maybe just other hobbies that are like totally different? Like, do you play sports or I don't know, I know you're into like VR gaming and stuff, I guess. So that's like something like just to get your mind out of that world a bit, because you can't live in there forever, all this like talking about oneness and healing and love and everything, it's hard to be there.
I can tell you, I myself am not doing many psychedelics. I really follow that Alan Watts sentence, like, when you get the message, hang up that phone.
Right, yeah, we talked about that last time a little bit.
Yeah, so I believe that this trip here gives you much more to learn than any kind of psychedelic rush.
Right, because when you're giving people these experiences, you're not taking it yourself either at the time.
No, but believe it or not, I'm in a sense tripping with my guests. Yeah, so especially when it's a one-on-one approach, everything in life is duality. Still, we are one person in one body. I mean, it's consciousness and the body. It's duality. But if you, as two human beings, two people looking through their eyes into this world, and when you look into their eyes, you see God, So when these two people get together, is a very strong bond. That's why we have we couples, like you have wife and husband. You have male and male getting together, women and women getting together, and it's always two, So it's a very strong connection, the dual connection. And when you get together with a client and it's 1-2,
right,
it's a very close bondage. And if they do the experience, I live through the experience with them. I am very close to them, and that's what many people say about me, is they've never been felt so good taken care of, yet being never having the feeling they are alone.
Right. Well, because you've had these experiences yourself in the past.
Yeah, I know exactly what they're going through.
The sort of flow of it, and know what stages they might be at and stuff like that.
The thing is, I'm not acting as a shaman. I'm not acting as a therapist. I'm not acting as some voodoo master or anything. I'm just there and just with the other person. And that creates an intimacy which is very intense and very sacred, So that's what the speciality is about. So, and then to directly ask your question too, is if I ever get tired about talking about oneness and God. The funny thing is, believe it or not, when I talk, or when there's talk, let's say that like this, when there's talk between a client and me about God, it's coming through my body, through my mouth, into reality between us, but it's reminding the other person and myself about the nature of reality.
Right.
And the time during a session is the best time I'm having in life. it's comparable to extreme close time I have with my kids or with my lovely wife.
Yeah. I see
It's
what you
like
mean.
it's really intimate, and it's remembering God, and so it's never, it's not boring, it's not judged in any way,
Right.
and it's nothing really. There's no mind involved. It's just is happening, and since that is like sacred as this, that's why my guests believe it, and it goes through to their heart and to mine too. So that's honestly, that's the best payment I'm getting.
Right. You're still
That,
enjoying it. You like being there, and you get a charge from it.
that's,
Yeah.
again, it's the best time I have in life to be with my clients, to remember God. See, I have normal people coming to me, like thick and thin, large and tall and small, like ego people and shy people, like
Yeah.
everyone. And the beauty is to see God in their eyes. And when we get together, my thoughts are still present. And my mind says like, oh, look at this guy. I bet he's like, but with the more and more I listen to people, I'm getting close to how they function. And suddenly there's stuff coming up, and it's very beautiful, because I always say things which are unease, which put my guests in unease, because they know they try to hide this from themselves and not address it, and they're so thankful for this honesty is flowing with it.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
I'm not rude. I'm not rude or anything.
Right.
It's just I ask questions like,
Yeah.
can it be that you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I like to do that
not-
too. I like to sort of just ask questions
Yeah.
here and there to, help people question themselves a little bit. People, you can see after getting to know someone too, especially after a while, you develop a relationship, but develop a little bit of trust, and then you can say things that are a little more blunt, a little more
Yeah.
direct, and question
Yeah.
some of their beliefs and things like that, and
Yes.
challenge people a bit. It's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, without the mind being behind it. It's just very, very pure, and I always say like, I don't want to. It's not coming from my mind. I don't want to hurt you or disturb your nice world. It's just when I hear you talking, this is what is coming up, and many people are very, very, if not all, are very, very grateful for this, and that is an additional thing, or the second part of a session, the sacrament and the talk together. And many people say, hey, I got as much out of talking with you together as I got out of the toad experience, of the mushroom experience.
Now, is it like generally it's after these experience, like the talking you're doing with them afterward, like that's the most powerful, or
mostly
before?
it's before.
Ah.
Yeah, I am asking a lot of private and personal question, and my client surely is they are free to answer or not, but all answer.
Yeah.
In this very intimate space we create together, they just answer, and well, it opens up. It's very magical what's happening in this space when there's two people getting close together without playing a role. I don't play the role of facilitator, shaman, psychedelic researcher, or guide or something. I'm just that guy, So, and I share my stories, and sometimes I have very shy people on the other side, and they don't want to talk about anything. And the more I tell them my stories, the more they tell me theirs,
Yeah.
And it's so sweet, because always the right thing happens. And I've never been sitting down after 2 hours or after 5 hours for a mushroom session, and I've never been sitting down not having full trust from both sides. And I'm so proud, because that is so important. And I guess I would back up from a session if it wouldn't be the case.
Right.
Because if there's no trust, and what I wanted to say earlier is, you see the other person and you have an agenda. Your mind pops up with an idea about that person. Well, this is that one, yeah. And then you start to listen, you get closer, you go into the story of that person, and you get close to that person, and you look into their eyes, and you start to see beyond that idea about them.
Right.
And you start to see the most, I often say it's, I have the ability, and I'm so thankful for that, because that helps me a lot to learn. I have this ability to see the most precious thing, God, in everyone. If I get close to them, if I talk with them, if I'm sharing time together. And that's so cool, because when I start to see God in my client, in my guest on the other side, they can feel that, and then they open up more. We are giggling after an hour. We start to giggle, about just being there together and have a great time. And I just had a
it
session.
really does sound like you still enjoy it. Like, just hearing you talk about it,
well,
you obviously enjoy meeting these people, meeting people, going talking about real stuff, making a connection with people. It's you're not just faking it or doing it for any other reason.
You would have to ask them, I try to ask, I always forget to ask for testimonials, because it's just so earthly to ask for testimonials. But I'm now more and more reminding myself, ask for testimonials. So now I'm getting my reviews more and more, and so I can put some on the homepage and just read them. They are no fake. They are all real, and all from real living people. And it's like when I read them, I get water in my eyes.
Cool.
And that's the cool thing. This is actually true healing. I can take a psychedelic, and some people say this is healing, the healing plants, the medicine plants.
Yeah.
Which I don't believe. If you remember, I believe that psychedelics are meant to offer a non-dual experience.
Yeah.
And healing is happening through life. And when these people say so beautiful things about me, to myself and on paper and to others, this is really like, I feel like deep curing is happening in my body, because this mind heard a lot of shit in his childhood. My parents had a hard time with me and I with them. And so they repeatedly told me, you're not our child. Why are you like this? You've never been a good boy. And, we will give you away to the orphanage, blah, blah. So such stuff.
Some heavy
stuff
for a kid.
Yeah, well, they didn't know better, and they were really at the end with their nerves.
Yeah.
So the thing is, this is what I heard during my childhood. And now that I hear this, like, Olli, you're so sweet and it's so amazing. It's la 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 la, I don't want to sound creepy, yeah? But you read it on the homepage. So the thing is, when I hear this or read this, I can feel how this, like, it gives me this deep peace.
Yeah, I see.
And that's so cool.
That's
and
why
my
you
kids
do
this too, My kids do this surely too, because I'm dead, And this is true healing. This is true healing. And this is no artificially, I take a psychedelic and push some buttons thing.
So
it's true.
I know we talked about like healing, I think on the last one, just like what healing is and what this idea of healing and everything. But I think, one thing I wanted to ask you was just like, as someone who does this, it can be, because we often end up talking about like sort of giving advice to people about how to heal or how to blah, blah, blah. What are some of the things that you yourself struggle with the most in your life? Like, what are the challenges that you face? Yeah, just you, personally. Yeah. Because it can be easy to sort of, by talking about all these big ideas and these things, it can make it seem like you're above struggling or these challenges, But I know that you're just a person as well, with kids and with responsibilities to manage, and I'm sure you're not a fully healed godlike individual at this point.
No. The thing is, the healing which occurred is that I don't believe the stuff my mind tells me that much anymore. So like I say, I wouldn't back up from things, even if my mind says you can't do it.
Right.
Or if I get depressed thoughts, which actually I'm having the whole day, every few days, every few weeks, I have this blues kind of thing. Like you stand up in the morning and you think like, can't I stay in bed,
Yeah.
And can I just all fuck off, kind of like that. And when I'm getting this, I used to suppress it, and I used to pretend it's not there, and I used to numb it with drugs.
Right.
So
yeah.
and this is not really taking place anymore, and it's still taking place that I have him, but I don't buy them so much anymore. It's like I let them be there, I let them process through me, and I sit with it.
This feeling. So would you say like that's what you like? If you were to say you struggle with anything the most, it is like this sort of like little bouts of depression or just like feelings to work through now and then. Like that's.
I still have this depression, which can be at times so strong that there are suicidal thoughts involved.
Is that right? Wow.
Yeah. But it's that what I'm saying, there was a time where I was believing even the suicidal thoughts, and now I'm going into a dialogue with myself, with my mind, like, hey, come on, you don't want that, look at this and this and this, what you have fun with, so it will pass. Be gentle, it will pass.
Right.
So, and it does, it does. 1-2 days and it's gone. And it's not so hard anymore. It's like a 40% of 30-40% experience from what I've had in the past.
Right. Yeah.
So it's not that much of a business anymore, but it's still there, So I just stopped smoking cigarettes, and I have this in Bulgaria. You can buy pills, natural pills from a plant, which acts on the receptor sites, nicotine receptors. Yeah. But I was feeling it's time that I try these pills again to help me in the process. Yeah. So my receptors are pleased, so I don't have craving for nicotine.
Yeah.
But I can feel that I would love to do this.
Right. Yeah. I've heard that too for smokers. Just the idea of going outside, taking a break, and just having something.
Yeah. But at the moment, it's the first time in ages that I can that I can talk with myself and say, hey, and then, And the interesting thing is when you take the pills and your receptors are pleased, it doesn't work. You smoke a cigarette and there's no rush.
Right. Well, that's something I like talking about this just because, some people listening and say people who are struggling and maybe are looking to these experiences with like this non-dual experience. And I think it's just good to have like real expectations about what people are going to get from that. They still might get depressed after these experiences. They still might have these feelings. They still might be trying to quit smoking or something. And it's still the struggle. The struggle is still there, and it's not. Yeah. So the ideal, the expectation should not be to be like all of a sudden you're Buddha. No, like it's not that easy. No. It's not going to be like that. And some people, I think, do get caught up in that. I've talked to people about mushrooms. People have come to me and asked for advice with taking mushrooms, and they have maybe a lot of ailments, autism and whatever, and they're hoping this is going to cure them and it's going to cure their problems, this magic pill. And it's just, it's not like that. And I think I just like talking about the struggle still that we all face because it's still there. It doesn't go away exactly.
Yeah. And that's really the trick, If someone asks me what can I do about it, and then I say, let it be the way it is. Don't do anything about it. Just appreciate the fact that you are here and having a trip, being human. Like gratitude and love. That's the core keys to life. Gratitude and love. Because in the first place, you should be grateful for whatever you've been given. But it's very hard because that's the one thing these people overlook, because they look into the future for this superior me, which one day they will become. Surely they never become.
Right. And that's tough. I do that a lot. I do that. I put things off and I think, okay, well, when, 5 years from now, I'll have enough money and time where I'll have the freedom to hang out with my friends more. I'll invite people over. I'll have lots of fires in my backyard and we'll have all this fun. And I'm always looking to like be social in the future, whereas I should just invite my friends over now. Why am I why I don't have to work so hard that I have no time for my friends. I
Yeah.
can invite them over
Yeah.
today. It can be, but that's something
Yeah.
I struggle with. I don't my friends become distant because I'm always too busy. I get caught up in my own
Yeah.
busyness a
Yeah.
lot. It's hard. Yeah.
Yeah. Oops, sorry. But I guess it changed over the years, so you're not that much into it anymore, right?
Yeah.
So you can't. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Well,
think
that's
for sure
that's the
what's happened with me too is by having what's helped me is having something like this podcast helped me. And in the year off I took from doing it, I realized how much I love just having deep conversations with people, being able to connect in a similar way to what you described earlier with people. And it's very hard to do in day-to-day life. It's hard to have those moments with your friends where you are like sitting and just connecting. Often you're doing something else. It's easy to just hang out with friends and just drink beer and maybe do something distracting. You play video games or you do something else.
Yeah.
Whereas I like having the podcast because for me, it creates that moment, creates that space where I can say, hey, we're going to sit down and we're going to just connect and we're going to talk about something real.
Yeah.
And I enjoy those and I look forward to those moments. So part of I'm building this studio to be able to invite my friends over, more to be like, hey, let's connect right now where we are. We will have a beer, but we're also going to sit and record ourselves and talk. And I look forward to that. It helps me just have something to really focus on,
I would love to see that, really. And you have fingers crossed, you say in America.
Yeah.
So definitely will be a big thing, and you have so many people who were watching Change Truth, and still I get 40% of all people writing me. I get a lot of emails, 5-6 per day at times, because I'm in Google search machine. I'm very high through the years.
I think that's awesome. I've heard that from other people on who I've talked to as well. It's been pretty cool just to connect people to others as well. Like now that you're talking about visiting Martin Ball and whatnot, that's really cool. I think that's awesome. Yeah. I like that.
I met him in London for Breaking Convention 2 years ago.
Yeah. You spoke there as well, yeah.
Yeah, and it was so sweet because we instantly kissed,
Kissed?
two lovers, and it
goodness.
was very
You both have
not
wives,
gay,
though.
yeah, not gay, and not with the tongue for sure. But it was crazy.
No
he
tongue,
he,
okay.
he needed to run because he needed to catch his plane. So we had not much time to speak with each other. But we are really following that path of love, So he maybe has a different path how he does it, and he's now talking about how he does sessions. And I'm definitely not like him doing mine, because I believe no interference is best interference.
Oh yeah.
But and he does this, he works on energies of other stuff. But, in core, we are talking about the same thing. We are living for the same thing. And I love him a lot. He's so sweet, and he's always sending people my way.
Cool.
If someone asks him, hey, where can I find you? Can I do a session with you? He says, no, I'm not doing, but there's this guy, Olli. And he sends them to me. And guess what? Next Thursday I have a guest from Singapore. She's flying in for a toad session from Singapore, and I have had this year. I had three US clients, 3 US people flying in from the States for a mushroom session.
Right, just to do this with you, yeah.
Yes, and I'm so blessed and so honored. Everybody says you have the best job on earth.
It's pretty cool,
talk about God and serve God in the most effective way, because I make people fit for love and life. It's when it's not I make them, but my mushrooms do. And it's so cool. And I just started growing mushrooms again, so I'm also in the tune with the shrooms again, big time. And I have lots of different species growing again.
Cool.
I guess I needed to stop because the toads needed to be raised. The toads are now like this, and like this, big toads, and the second biggest toad in the world, second largest toad in the world. So the adult ones are like this, really, and I raised them from this size, just a thumb
Right.
long they were when I got them.
Cool.
And they needed a lot of energy and a lot of love and a lot of attention and care. And this is what my clients feel when they smoke their secretion, that there is my love inside, that there is my energy inside, the magic they do. And I mean, everything is energy. Yeah, and everything is energy. And surely there's, you recognize that. It's a different thing if you go in the desert, scare some poor animals to shit and rob them of their defense mechanism, So, well...
No, I've thought about that.
Really,
the idea of things being energy, and just that we, how do you put it? Like, we take in energy, right? We take in, say, food. But we also take in, like, other people's emotions. We take in energy from the stuff around us, and then we have to find a way to release that energy into the world.
Indeed,
and that's kind of, you can even talk about that, and that's sort of how healing works to some extent. And that how you can have so many different types of therapy. You can have art therapy, you can have wilderness therapy, you can have talk therapy. It's a way, these are all methods of putting something out from in you, putting it out. And even just by speaking things, you are releasing them from you. You're putting words to the stories in your head that you haven't shared with anyone that are kind of haunting you. And I've thought about that. And I'm going to be speaking with someone next week who is she's very much into like detoxing the body and things like that. And that got me thinking about that we have to be able to release what's in us, what's stuck in us, even physically, be able to get rid of stuff in order to sort of like then put in the good things that we want, sort of empty the cup first kind of thing.
So the energy is flowing through you again. That's most important with blockages. If you release the blockage, you make space to let the energy flow again straight through you, because everything is in movement. The sun, the earth, and it's always like in circles. And if there's a blockage, it comes to a halt, and the energy can't flow through you. And if you purge that energy or bring it back into balance, there's this energy flow again. I guess that's what
people have to identify sort of in a way, like what is in them and what they have to get out. Like for me, this podcast initially was just a way for me to get out this feeling in me. Like I had this feeling, like part of it was like, fuck the system. I want to change the system. It's bullshit. Rage against the machine. I had that feeling, and then I had this idea that like, the drug laws were so ridiculous, and I couldn't stand it. It was driving me nuts. The hypocrisy that I saw in our cultures, how the law and everything. I had to find some way to get this out of me, to just express this, and so that's what really led me to doing the podcast. And through doing it, through speaking to people like you and all these other very cool people I was able to speak to, I was able to get that out, like talk about it, put it out there. And I'm so free now in all these things. And it's also I've been able to like release stories of my past too, talk about things that have messed with me, suicide ideations and depression and things. And by letting that out through this podcast, now I can talk to people about that just in my day-to-day life. Like it's not even a big deal anymore. I can just speak about it freely. And that's it's really cool to be able to do that, to not be attached to that stuff so much.
Yeah, it's being honest and don't have too many secrets, or no secrets at all is really important, because if secrets, create separation, it's like I keep something from you. It's you and me when we are separated through that secret. And that's why Maharaji, that guru from Ramdas I was talking about prior, named Karoli Baba. He said, like, love everyone, tell the truth, remember God. So telling the truth means really don't hide things, If you let them out, they don't keep you from being close to the other person. And that's really important.
And it's really, when you have a secret too, if you look at the root of why you would hold a secret, it really comes from fear. It's a fear thing, because you think you're going to be judged. You're afraid what they're going to think of you often. If you were to tell them what you really thought, man, they would, but often it's funny where when you do, you often find, I think, when you do let these things out, people can relate really often when it's that type of, there's other type of secrets too. There's secrets for power and things too. You can hold secrets for different reasons, but it's not so scary to let them out.
it's like you said, when you tell them a secret, they can feel into that, then they can feel for and with you, and that brings you closer together. So it's really like when you tell someone a secret, they have a feeling of closeness to you, and that keeps the bondage closer.
Right.
And that's what I meant also with getting together in these sessions. Where there are a lot of secrets. I often have this sentence where my the people who write me give me that, like, I've never told this to anyone, but I feel I need to tell you. Kind
Right.
of. And
Well,
also
because you're also, you maybe if someone's flying from the United States, you're sort of someone they're not going to run into in their day-to-day life. You're not really, you don't know their community, so it maybe sometimes it's easier. But people go to like a counselor because they can just let things out to them, and it's not going to come back exactly to their other, people in their lives or whatever.
I had a guest who is a psychotherapist in the States, and he came for a session. And we just wrote together, and he has become a much, much, much better psychotherapist now because he can open up in talks with his clients much more, and the closeness, the bondage he creates is getting better through this because he let go of so many stuff in the session with me, together.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that. Yeah. It reminds me of I interviewed a psychotherapist named Andrew Feldmar a while ago, and he had
I know.
Yeah, he had experience working with LSD in the past and things, and I really loved what he said about just in that client therapist relationship that often ruins things or holds things back because you have the person who is supposed to be the master, and you have someone who is learning or who is looking for them for answers. Whereas he says to get the most or to help people the most, you get on their level with them. You're not, you take the LSD with them, and you might look to them for some help at some point. That's how he put it, at least for what he was doing. But I like that you don't have to approach people from a point of like, oh, I will help you. You look to me and I will help you. It's not really like that. We all help ourselves. And I think, by being sort of vulnerable and letting things out and showing people that you suffer too and you go through things too, they can in turn become stronger because they aren't going to have to be the weak one or have to, or right. Something like that. Yeah.
There's this guy called Arjuna Adak. He's not very, very famous. He's he was formerly a spiritual teacher guy, So he has created what is known as spiritual coaching.
Okay.
So he realized that if he's a teacher, there's separation created. So now he coaches people.
Okay, I see.
And he's kind of like on the same level, like you said, just like me. I'm also on the same level with my guests. But he's also seeing the best potential in the other person and doing everything to get that potential out. That's what a coach does.
Right. Yeah, I see. Yeah.
A coach doesn't need to be himself good in something,
right,
but needs to see what the other is good in.
Sure.
And that's what they're good at. And so he's a spiritual coach, and he can see through people into people's personality and can bring out the best out of them, which they didn't thought that it's there, or
right.
know
Just
that
knowing
it's there.
When to push people or how to push people or get. Yeah, I can see that. I like that idea. Being a coach instead of a teacher. Yeah, working with someone.
I guess he created that spiritual coaching term. And he's very successful with that, and a very sweet guy. And but he also, he said, when he was working as a spiritual teacher, that very, very sneaky or very, very, it sneaked up on him, this role of I'm the teacher,
right.
I'm above you being the, apprentice. And I guess that is something in spirituality community is a very common thing, or in shamanic community, it's the shaman and the apprentice.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
It's a very common thing, and it's so important to let that, to dissolve that, because it's about non-duality, and not having an experience or also that's the thing what I get these goosebumps with the healing plants and the teacher plants
Yeah.
and the entities. It's always dual, me and, you know,
Yeah.
and that keeps you in the cage. And ultimately, I think psychedelics are meant to break people free from their cage. And
Right.
well, it's
And you can see that in different ways, or it can be. I mean, one thing that I would say, well, it came up before we were talking about. I forget what you said exactly, but the three things, like I said, one was speak the truth, and I think that's something that has to be sort of learned as well. It's not something it's not so easy. Like someone's like when you're young, and someone says, "Oh, just be yourself." It's not that easy. You have to learn how to be
no,
yourself. You know, it's quite difficult
yeah,
actually, and to speak the truth that you see as well. That's a
yeah,
difficult thing, and that's something I've been working on consciously for a while, is just
yeah,
recognizing the elephant in the room as soon as it's there and pointing it out right away, and being that guy who will just say things as soon as they're clear, because I've just
yeah,
learned over
yeah,
time when
yeah,
you just
yeah,
if you ignore things, or they just come back bigger. It
yeah,
never works out.
yeah.
So I've been trying to
No,
be that guy more and more, and sometimes that means confrontation. Sometimes that means I have to like have an argument with someone because I disagree with what they're doing, and I have to make that clear because it's the truth for me. So I have to stand up for that and speak that into existence, kind of thing. You have to
yeah, yeah.
say it when it's there, and that's very difficult to do. And
It's
that,
so relieving, yeah,
yeah, and that's something I think psychedelics have
releasing.
helped me do, because they've helped me get over the fear of doing that and just be
Mm,
able to do that more. And there's this guy, a professor in Canada I've been listening to a lot. His name is Jordan Peterson. Have you heard of him?
mm. No, no, I don't know him.
He's a very fascinating guy. He breaks down a lot of stories, like biblical stories, but he does it from a view of psychology and looking at what these stories mean to us, how we internalize them. But he also talks about truth a lot and speaking the truth, and that is really the path to like salvation or to
Mm,
peace, or to being balanced. Is you have to speak the truth when it's there, even if it means your whole society turns against you. And he had a lot of problems. He basically spoke out about what he believes is wrong about sort of so there's the transgender thing happening where people are taking
yeah, yeah,
different pronouns, and they
yeah.
want, and that's all fine, but what he spoke out against was that they were putting it into law in Canada that if you didn't use someone's new pronoun, so they want to be called Z instead of he,
Mm.
if you don't do that, you're committing a hate crime. And
Oh,
he
okay.
saw this as being very bad, like going down the wrong path, where it becomes like
Mm.
he compares it to, well, for one, like Nazism, like just like hate crime, but also like the Soviet Union and communism, and how people start putting people into different categories. And I'm
Mm.
probably not. I'm kind of rambling, I think, at this point, but
Yeah.
um, anyway, for him, that was speaking his truth. He saw this. He's someone who studied Nazism and studied a lot of history
Mm.
in the past where things went wrong. And he just saw this as like one step down that road. He said, I'm not going to say these pronouns because I think it's going to lead somewhere really bad, where now we're
Yeah.
limiting what people are allowed to say. And that's not a good
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And he spoke out
Yeah,
about this
no, that.
and said this publicly, even though he basically he's in the process of losing his job at the university. He got huge public backlash against him. He had protests against him on his campus and everything.
Mm.
But he's since risen to this other level, and now he's developing like a university curriculum on YouTube. I think because he figures he can actually reach more people there than at the University of Toronto. It's really interesting, and that
Yeah,
for him
yeah.
speaking the
Oh,
truth, even though
he's
it was hard at first, it's leading to a good place for him. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. If you follow truth, life will follow you. It's definitely. I mean, truth. Just to have that clear, say the truth, tell the truth doesn't mean you bash into the face of everyone in a rude way.
Mm-hmm.
Their truth, it's just that you don't keep secrets and that you be honest with others, and so you can be honest with yourself. and that's
And truth, it's not so easy either. Like my truth, something that's true for me might not be true for you either. And that's where sort of we do, it's good to talk about it with someone. I found that I've learned that through being with my partner. I have my girlfriend who I've been with for many years. Often, you know, we get into arguments, and when you get into an argument, you think you're right. You think, no, 100%, I'm right. I know, like, I have the right to be angry, you know, and and you get into it. And then after a while, there's been so many times where I'm pissed off and I think about it and I'm like, you know what? There's absolutely no way she's right about this. There's no argument. You know, it's all me. And then we come back and we talk
still, yeah,
a half an hour later, and she comes back with a point that I didn't even see. And I go, maybe she does have a point. Maybe from her perspective, this happened before. She was feeling this way. And then, so when I said that, okay, I get it. And, you know,
I'm almost 20 years with my lady, so we're in the 20th year, so sometimes we have this situation where the one or the other has a bad day and we get a little angry, but the interesting thing is, if that really happens, which is rare, like 4 or 5 times per year, we very, very fast apologize. And we very fast get back together. And I guess that's what Ramdas said, that becoming conscious means that at first you start to, every time it's earlier in the process. I mean, there's one thought starts it, and then the next thought, and you run a show, you know, there's a certain way things go after that one incident. And the earlier you stop in this whole shit show, the more conscious you are towards it. And so if you apologize very early, it just means you're more conscious, and it just means it doesn't mean you ruined it because you fell again into it. It means you made progress because you were able to earlier look at it and stop it.
And 100%, we've been able to do that, and it's helped us so much. Just apologizing early, even sometimes, even if I don't think I'm wrong, even if I can just say, look, I'm sorry that it's come to this. I'm sorry that we're feeling angry at each other, because I don't even want that. And you start with that, and then you go from there, and it works out way faster. And eventually, the thing too, like, I've come to after going through, you know, early on, say we got in way more arguments than we do now. And they all, sometimes those would last more than a day. Now they never last more than a day. We never go to bed angry at each other still. We'll get over it in the day.
Cool.
But in the past, they would carry over. And then eventually, though, we'd work it out. And now I'm able to just recognize, okay, eventually we're going to work it out. So why not do it right now? Why not just get it over with now? You know?
Yeah.
Why drag it out?
If you can't step back from your anger that good, you know, and you can see that already, great.
Man, it's so hard.
This is but it's so cool, because this is stuff healing, you know. This is really healing yourself, being conscious, seeing it, and allowing yourself to be angry the moment before. If you recognize you're angry, is also very important, because obviously you had a reason for it. And if it means you're getting angry, it doesn't mean, oh shit, I'm still not enlightened. It just means, you know, you still have something to learn. And be grateful for it. And everything happens for a reason. And the moment you believe you're so enlightened, you know, Ramdas said it, go live with your family for a week, you know?
Right. For sure. Go live with your parents again, see what happens.
And it's so easy, you know, to get to a position where you have the feeling you are above it, and then find yourself next knee deep in the shit again.
And speaking about talking your truth too, sometimes just being angry is like, it can be a way to get the truth out. Like, something's in you and it's bugging you. And if you don't get angry, maybe you never say anything, you know, you don't mention it. But then you get angry and you have to say, like, you know what? When you don't wash your dishes, it pisses me off, and you really got to wash those damn dishes earlier. And then, you know, you start a fight, but then later you just go, yeah, I'm sorry for getting angry about it, but you know, I just, if you could wash your dishes a little bit earlier, that would really, I would feel better. And then you work things out because that anger had to come out, or things build up, and emotions can make us act or make us say something.
Well, it's good if it's coming out, you know. Otherwise, you get cancer from that shit.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I believe that too.
You know,
I believe that.
If you always keep stuff low, it gets stuck somewhere in your body, and you wonder why you always have that stomach pain. Yeah. And you know, I don't understand. I'm not getting angry anymore. Why am I having this pain in my stomach? Yeah, sure, because your pain is there.
Yeah, you got to get angry.
Yeah,
I think it's good.
It's okay.
Yeah, as we talked about before, the release.
My son is my mechanism to get angry. He's the only person who gets me really pissed.
That's funny.
And it's crazy, but I love him.
Why do you think? Because I know if a child say does something to put himself in danger or something like that, or if you just have expectations that he isn't meeting, you know, it's hard not to do that.
It's a mixture of everything, I guess. It's mostly because I think he's not grateful, but then again, it's my business, you know, to have an issue with that. I mean, he's just the way he is, you know, and I have an issue with that. It's my issue, and that's why I'm still learning. Yeah, and if he pisses me off, the righteousness level is intense, and the how you say, the addictive level righteousness has on me still is very high. So it's hard thing for me to step back. Yeah, I'm righteous, you know, fucking devil, you know. But then it's okay. It's getting better, and we're having a much better relationship now. My biggest problem is he's the last one, you know, so he's 11 and he's definitely not yet in puberty. So the level of conscious talking with him is not where it is with my 16-year-old. So my 16-year-old, you can smoke pot with and have a adult conversation, you know?
I see, yeah.
Or not under pot, but I just want to say
is mature, like is at a level of maturity.
She's mature, and you take her totally serious. And I definitely want to take my son totally serious too, but then again, he's behaving like the little boy still. Also, he's a little bit behind, so he takes his time to grow. Yeah. But a part of me is sick of having little children.
Yeah, I see.
Because I've been doing this for 16 years now. And I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of cleaning. I'm sick of cooking. I'm sick of doing that.
Yeah.
And now that I have this other work, I'm even more sick of the second work I'm having, which is the first work actually, because I'm a houseman first. And I guess that is channeled through him being the youngest, behaving like a boy
and needing more, needing more support
definitely. But like I say, we grow a lot out of it. The past half a year, we have changed both a lot. So we are much closer now.
It's difficult being around young people. One of my jobs is working with young people who are, say, like at risk, or, you know, with I don't want to get too much into it, but I work with teenagers. And they're not just
my wife too.
Not just regular teenagers, but people who have more issues to deal with, and it can be a struggle. Just teenagers alone are going through a lot in their lives, and ones who have more on top of that, man, it can be really draining and really difficult. Just the way they express themselves is it's like you say, it's just a more immature level. So to take that in and take abuse sometimes and take what they're expelling out there it can be hard to bring that back to them from a different direction and help them to grow. It's exhausting, you know. It's not easy.
But then again, it's your problem that you find it exhausting and draining. And
that's what I've recognized that, and what I've done is just reduced my hours at that specific job work. So
Yeah,
when I do
sure.
come in, I'm fresh and I'm recovered and I'm good and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to roll.
Yeah,
Like bring it
yeah,
on. I'm dodging and weaving and
yeah,
I'm fine. Whereas
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
But if you come in
yeah.
tired, you
You
get
gotta,
burnt out.
yeah. You gotta listen to your inner voice when it's enough and when you can take it, and when it's supportive for both of us, for
Yeah.
both of you. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
for
exactly.
the other side, and you.
And that's part of the
that's,
truth thing too.
Yeah,
Just recognizing
yeah,
that that's true, and you need to
yeah,
put your foot down
yeah.
and lay out
And that's
your land.
and it has to do with love, to just be gentle with yourself and recognize that there's drainage happening. I mean, that's the thing. You're not drained. There's drainage happening.
Right. Yeah.
And when you recognize that you just say, okay, come on, we're pulling ourselves out. We need another break, and we do less or whatever is the follow up thing you do then.
Yeah.
But
Recovery.
yeah, and that's what I keep telling my guests too. Be gentle with yourself. Be forgiving with yourself. You are just human, It's okay to make mistakes. It's human,
Right.
And that doesn't mean you're a bad human. You're just human.
Yeah.
And
For sure. That's something that I had to learn, I would say like the hard way, kind of just making mistakes and being able to keep going. I was always so hard on myself. I'd see perfection. I'd have this vision of how things should be. And then when I couldn't meet that, it was so difficult. And just with many pursuits early on that I did, whether it was art type stuff or creating podcasts and things, when I thought I could meet this level, and it's so hard to say release something that isn't perfect, and you could do better. You always see your potential, right? It's easy to imagine how good you could be, but to not meet that can be so hard, so challenging. To not beat yourself up about it and whatnot. But I've gotten really good at that. Just learning. What I've done is listen to all some really great people who've been really successful. When you hear them talk about their life and their journey, it's never that it was so easy from the start. They didn't just become the best basketball player of all time. They put in a lot of work. No. They failed over and over and over and over, and that's just how it works. And when you realize that even really successful people do that, it can be easier to just keep going too, and not give up. Yeah. Anyway, we should talk about cryptocurrency for a little bit. Let's switch it up.
Yeah.
Because I was intrigued when you mentioned that.
Yeah. Do you know anything about it?
I know very little. I know like Bitcoin has been popping up a lot in just my community. A lot of people are talking about it. It's been in the news more. People are really like pumped about it. It's risen a lot. Yeah. But I know you're not even into Bitcoin. You're into more other ones.
Yeah, well, I tell you why. Just let me first say we're in a kind of a second level where mainstream is getting sticking a nose into it. There is still media manipulation saying it's volatile, it's dangerous, la la la.
Yeah.
Fiat money is better, But there is some mainstream adoption happening at the moment. That's what created this 15,000 euro or $18,000 price at the moment.
Right. Yeah.
For Bitcoin, So I had a guest on a retreat last year, and he's millionaire. So he's an investment banker, and he was very good in that, and so he is millionaire.
Right.
He became millionaire through investment banking.
Yeah.
So he said to me last August, buy Bitcoin, that thing will be worth millions in 10 to 15 years. It's my prediction, and I'm 100% sure about it. I'm 1,000% sure, he actually said.
Yeah.
So I said, yeah, well, Bitcoin, I know it from Darknet, but I don't know. So I didn't listen. But my wife and me, we paid a visit to him because in the town he lives, there was a concert happening. And we were flying into that town anyway, so he invited us in the place he owns. He owns a very expensive restaurant, and so we had lunch with them. And he again told me buy Bitcoin. So my wife was with me, and she heard it too. And I said to her, hey, can I put some money in that? And so I put just little money in it. And at that point, Bitcoin was still 1,000 euro. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So it was in February this year. So I put some money in. Then I saw it rises very fast. Then I put a little bit more money in. I mean, I'm talking about very, very small amounts. Yeah. Not like hundreds, but not like 10,000s. Yeah.
Yeah.
So because I don't have any much more money around with 5 people,
Sure.
with 3 children. But I just want to say, little was enough at that time, being 1,000 per Bitcoin. So, I ended up with this final amount, and the last ones I bought for €2,000 3 months or 4 months later with the last money we had. So all our savings are in Bitcoin.
Wow.
Or were in Bitcoin, I have to say,
Okay,
because then I maybe have said it in previous podcasts. I'm a very lazy person. So my agenda, my mind, my ego is a lazy kind of hang around guy who can't get to work, who has difficulties to sit down for a podcast.
I see.
No, to get things started.
Yeah.
But, and that's very interesting, if I'm very interested in something, so many people say, Olli, you know so much about mushrooms, psychedelics, all these things, duality, what the fuck, how can you be so much, can you have so much knowledge? And the trick is, I'm not drawn to do things, but when I do something, I go 120, 100,
Yes.
50%.
I'm very
and
much
go
like
for
that
it.
too. Yeah.
So 2 weeks later, I was ages beyond the level and before. So now, I don't know, 10 months later, I'm at a very high educated level about cryptocurrencies. So
Right.
what
You've been
in the
obsessed
first
with
moment-
it for a little while.
Yes, yeah. So let me tell you, I'm keen about this. That's why I wrote about it. I want to talk about. So what I learned very fast is that Bitcoins is not about, or cryptocurrencies. Let me say cryptocurrencies is not about making quick money. For many people, for 70%, 60% maybe, it is about making quick money, but it's not about that. Cryptocurrencies will be the future. So believe it or not, cryptocurrencies are at a stage where the internet is now 20 years, or was 20 years ago from now.
Yeah, they're just starting.
So in 20 years, cryptocurrency will rule the world. And what does this mean? That means that the bank dynasty, that Bilderberg and co., that the Rothschilds, the Morgans, the Rockefellers, they all will lose power over us because they control us, just like in the Matrix movie. They control us as slaves, as drones, through money.
Yeah.
We pay taxes which have never been there except for 100 years ago when they created it. There was money behind the dollar. There was one. I don't know what kind of gold, but it was backed up with gold.
Yeah.
Now it's just printed out of nowhere.
Yeah.
The Rothschilds, the family Rothschild, is the richest family on earth. More than $400 billion they own, and it's just a guess because they don't tell what they own.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But they own, there are lists on the internet, they own all federal banks around the planet. So the German Federal Bank, every federal bank except for North Korea. So guess why they're doing war now? Why it's about going to war. And the last ones they adopted were Afghanistan, Iran, and what was it? Kuwait. So it becomes clear who runs war.
That's interesting. That's really, really interesting.
Happening.
Yeah, just if you're listening, just think about that. Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
just saying this. There's this great documentation series called Zeitgeist.
Okay, yeah.
Zeitgeist. If you've ever heard of that, or the listeners, watch Zeitgeist, learn how you live, what your life is about. I say this, don't get depressed because they are God too. We are all one. God creates the world.
They're
Life,
I would
love,
say
the
those
source,
guys are just winning the capitalism game. They're just at the very top. They're killing it.
On the surface of things, they are ruling it. You know? But
they're killing the game. But I think the game has to change. It's a
And the thing is, cryptocurrency offer us a way that I send you money. And you send me in seconds for nothing.
Right. For no fee, no service charge.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what happened? What happened, and why do I say no Bitcoin anymore? And just to put that first, I talk to that millionaire regularly. We are friends, not like close buddies friends, but
Yeah,
friends. And we talked about Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash is a so-called fork. It was created out of Bitcoin, but changed back to the original white paper of Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin has become a non-functioning store of value like gold, but it will become a way of building a PayPal 2 system on top of it called Lightning Network. And why is that? Because Bitcoin is being manipulated by the main developers, the people who develop that thing. And those developers are all working for a company called Blockstream. And that Blockstream company is owned by XAA, yeah? This big insurance company, which is part of the Bilderberg group. Bilderberg is a collaboration of all the richest people and richest high companies and military and everywhere, you know, all big Bilderberg group. And they control AXA, and AXA controls Bilderberg, Blockstream, and Blockstream controls MainDev, and they control Bitcoin.
I see.
So
if you follow
the media,
it up, you get to the same people.
So if you still own Bitcoin and support Bitcoin, you are supporting the very person who you want, what Bitcoin was meant to be free of.
So this is a recent development. Like this wasn't always the case with Bitcoin.
No, this happened in 2016. But when you go on Reddit/Bitcoin, there is censorship. So all accusations against Blockstream, against the main devs, against this whole agenda about Bitcoin will be censored and deleted. It's all proven on the internet. For our listeners, look it up if you want to go into cryptocurrency, which I really advise you to do, because it is the future. It will make you rich and it free us. It will free us. That's the most important thing. The free us is so important. But if you do research and don't go into Bitcoin, you need Bitcoin to buy others. But that's what you do with Bitcoin.
Okay.
Yeah. Because Bitcoin is the main currency still. And if you want to have Bitcoin, go for Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash is what the original white paper is about. Low fees, fast transaction, reliable transaction. But meanwhile, there are better coins. And I have 3 coins, and let me make a little advertisement for that. And why?
Yeah.
Because I have this knowledge of 10 months. I own Bitcoin Cash because I believe that, and my millionaire does too, you know, that Bitcoin Cash will become the Bitcoin and it's the name, you know, who sells. So you shouldn't forget that this Bilderberg group own also all media channels. So everybody talks about Bitcoin because the media channels are owned by Bilderberg. So it's no wonder everybody talks about, like for many people, Bitcoin is the name for cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
They don't know the word cryptocurrency. They say, are there more Bitcoins?
Yeah, for sure.
It's not Bitcoins, it's cryptocurrencies. But the thing is, Bitcoin Cash is the real Bitcoin. So second, I own IOTA, EOTA, IOTA, which is a currency, costs no fees at all, not even a penny, like Bitcoin Cash costs a penny. It costs no fees at all, and it's instant. And it is relying not on a block stream. I can't explain Blockstream in this short term. Watch the internet for block. What is the oh, wait a second. Not Blockstream. Come on. Am I crazy? A blockchain. Yeah. Blockchain technology. Yeah. Many coins have a blockchain technology that, it's hard to explain in little time. It's like, it's proven transactions, like I prove a transaction and they are put together in a chain. And IOTA is not a blockchain. IOTA sits on a tangle. And a tangle is like a mushroom mycelium. Like all dots are connected in a mycelial network or in a brain network or in a tree network, just like nature does it.
Okay.
So if I send 1 IOTA to you or 10 IOTA or what, I verify 2 transactions worldwide, and then I can send my transaction in exchange. That's why it's feeless.
I see.
So IOTA
Okay,
second is IOTA. It just made a big rise, from 50 cents to €3. And the third currency I have, and that's very important too, it's the future. It's an anonymous coin. Anonymity, yeah, is really important because you don't want Bilderberg to know that you own these coins. And with IOTA will have anonymity too. There comes a protocol in the future and maybe Bitcoin Cash too. But at the moment, if you have an address, you can get the IP, and with an IP address, you can get the person's address. Yeah. So it's not anonymous, even it looks like.
Okay.
So also Bitcoin, many currencies, you can see the IP address. Like there's one anonymous coin called Monero, but you still can see the IP addresses, so it's not anonymous.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
They are now working on a protocol too. But the only anonymous coin at the moment, because it is sitting on Tor network.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you have heard of Tor network?
Yeah,
That's darknet stuff, yeah. Tor network clouds your IP through reconnections. Many layers of an onion you have to go through to get to the core. And you can't see the IP address of a user. And the thing is, Verge works on Tor network. And Verge, it's called XVG, Verge. It costs 1 penny. So it's the cheapest coin, one of the cheapest coin around there. It's place number 50 or something, but it will become the future. Believe me, if you have some money, just $100, buy Verge. It will make you rich, and it will free us. It will free the planet because it's anonymous, so no one knows what you own or anybody own. It has billions of coins, 16 billion coins, and not a single bit more. So it's capped. But it's large amount, so everybody can take part in it.
Yeah.
Not big groups of having millions of coins.
Yeah.
Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash have only 20 million. So 16 billion is Verge, and it is not controllable by miners and so on and so forth. There are many good things on it. And it's a super good coin, really. And it's made by private people, and they don't owe money. It's not a company behind it, and it's coded by users like you and me, like real human beings,
Yeah.
So that would be my advice. I really love that coin.
Yeah, I'm really fascinated by this stuff, but I'm not personally. I'm at this point. I'm not going to buy anything. For one, I don't have extra money. And for one, I'm also
But if
not,
you have $100,
I'm also not like, it's okay. I don't need to get rich. I'm at the point where I'm just going to, I know that I would love to have a bunch of money. Of course, everyone would love to, but.
Do you have an Android phone?
Yeah.
Yeah. I will create a wallet for you and put some words inside and send you encrypted in a RAR file, the passphrase. All you have to do is install the Verge Android wallet and put the passphrase in. It's a 16-word passphrase. You put it in and you can access those coins.
Yeah, part of it is the intimidation of this stuff sounds so complicated. It's not. It's like I'm not. I know. So that's intriguing to just have someone like set it up for me. It would be more. I'd be maybe more inclined to get into it.
If you give me your telephone, I can set it up for you. But it's enough if I send you the passphrase with the money in it. Even if you don't touch it, I keep the passphrase too. And if you ever say, "Oh, I lost the passphrase, I don't know," and this stuff will be $1, and the virtues I send you will be $1, and you are rich, then I give you your passphrase again. But the thing is, I will do this. This is the good thing on Verge. 1 penny, and you can. let me tell you one cool story. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want to push your nerves with cryptocurrency.
No,
but it's
I'm enjoying talking about it.
Also for our listeners, please, guys, this is in a sense a spiritual thing. Yeah, because it will free us in this world, in this realm, duality realm. It will free us from the bank system, which runs everything. The medicinal system is run by the banks. The food system is run by the banks. The educational system is run by the banks. The medias are run by the banks. Everything is run by the banks.
Well, can I just say too, I'll jump in and just say, like, I believe if I look at, what's the biggest problem we face right now, it does seem like it's the fact that the money we have is at the top of everything. So the medical industry still caters to money at the top. It's still trying to make money. Everything is a business that's making money. And the banks, of course, are at the top of the whole money thing, controlling the money itself. So I do look at this definitely with a lot of intrigue, because what you say, I do think being able to change that power structure in terms of who controls it is like super fascinating, and that could change everything for sure. So it's very,
but
very
you can only do it if you have your own money.
Right.
If you still need to get the money of the system, which is printed out of nowhere, the Federal Reserve banks print money out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's all a credit system at this point. It's all just trust.
They give to the government IOUs. The government takes IOUs and get the money for that. Gives IOUs and get the money for that. And they print it out of nothing.
Yeah.
And we have high inflation around. And everything will be less worth. And if you have your own money, your own currency, which I can give you and back, and we can buy, more and more shops are adopting Bitcoin Cash at the moment. There are some shops adopting Bitcoin, but just Steam, Steam maybe, they just shut down Bitcoin because high fees and long transactions is what Bitcoin has become, because they adopted it and are controlling it. If you send one Bitcoin, it costs you $50 or $30 to $50.
Oh wow!
And that's not feelers. And Bitcoin Cash costs 1 penny. Verge costs like fragments of a penny. And I'm just saying, it should be free and it should be instant.
So even the one that's a fraction of a penny, they have a very, very, very small fee because of they have to cover their. Someone has at some point down the line, someone has to cover their own costs.
Please,
I guess.
No, it's not the own cost. Please look it up. What a blockchain is. A blockchain needs to have a verification, a transaction verification, and for that verification, there has to be done computer work, a calculative. A mathematical riddle to solve, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so a blockchain is a combination of solved riddles. Solved riddles.
Yeah.
So the people doing these riddles with their PC power, they get the coins. But with this Bitcoin, a lot of things have changed. If you're really interested, look it up. But people don't support Bitcoin. Support instead Bitcoin Cash, or better, look into Verge. Small money can get you a lot of Verge. Really, one penny per Verge, or 1.5 it's now, is very, very cheap. And you can buy hundreds of Verge for just fractums of $100, So fragments of $100. So what I'm saying is, you are freeing yourself with this. And that is so important. Just let me finish the whole shit, the whole story with that little sweet story. I have stickers on my car, Verge, IOTA, Bitcoin Cash, because I love it so much. Just print
promoting
it
out there,
Not real stickers, just paper on the window. And there was like a Turkish gang, So my papa is Turkish, I'm not racist or anything. But it was like 6 guys in a car, all looking like gangsters.
Right.
And they overtook me and drove in front of me and stopped me. And I was like, what the fuck,
Wow,
And I had Felix, my son, in the car. And we were like, what are they? Whoa. What is happening
scary,
here, So he pulled back, put down the window and said, "Hey, you have a IOTA sticker on your car?
Yeah.
You must be rich." It was at the time where IOTA was rising, and I was like, "No, I don't have that many," So finally we stepped out of the car and had a conversation of 30 minutes about cryptocurrencies.
Wow.
And the boys were soaking my wisdom, my knowledge up. Yeah. And in the end, guess what? They had an Android phone, and I said, download Coinomi or the Verge wallet. Yeah. And they downloaded the Verge wallet, and I sent them 4,000 Verge, 1,000 for each one of, it wasn't 6. Yeah. It was 4 guys. So I sent them 4,400 Verge, 1,100 for every one of them. So this is how sweet it is. It's €5. It was at that time €5 per person. So
So this is like a way that you're to spread it, like to make it easy to just like give some to people so that they can get into it.
You learn by doing. By doing, and it's so sweet to do this instant thing. They download. It took them 2 minutes to download with mobile internet the wallet, and then you can hold the phones and have a QR code. Like you scan the code, put in the number, put in your password. And gone. 2 minutes later, verified, because Verge has 30 seconds blocks. So every 30 seconds is one proof. Next proof in 1 minute, third proof after 1.5 minutes. So it goes very fast. And in that second, they have the money. No, like how long a transaction with a bank takes? 1.5, 2 days,
It's true.
And it's here, it costs, And you can do this with a British guy, with a Dutch guy, with an American guy, with everyone in the world instantly for free.
For free, That's the other thing. Because banks do email money transfer, right? So you can do that, and it's like, I think it's instant, but it's like, there's like a 2% or something fee. I don't know. I forget what it is, but there is a fee toward it.
So I was so calm during the talk, like Shanti, and cryptocurrency make me crazy.
No, it's good. Honestly, I really, because I've been fascinated by it, but I haven't taken the plunge. I just don't have extra money. We just bought a house, a year and a half ago or something. So, we're broke. We're paying all sorts of stuff.
So you have no excuse. I sent you some words, like 3,000, and I sent you some PayPal for the podcast. And but you have Verge too then, yeah?
Well, I'll check it out if you want to, I'll check it out and take a look at it. And I have lots of questions I want to ask, but I know that like anyone listening who actually knows about this stuff, my questions are not going to be high level questions. I don't know a whole lot about this, so I just want to ask one question. So you're talking about the banks are based on, there's no Federal Reserve full of gold that things are based on anymore. But so what are these cryptocurrencies based on? And I know a little bit about like mining Bitcoin. I know that people mine Bitcoin by setting up their computer stations, and so how exactly does that work? What is that?
Yeah, well, actually the thing is, you can say that blockchains are also backed by nothing. But the thing is, you can't get rid of blockchain because the people running this computer, and even if it's one person, as long as one person is running this thing, as long as the internet exists, you can't shut down a certain coin. You can't shut down a certain cryptocurrency.
Because it's spread, or it's non-localized.
It's if there's one computer running it, just one computer doing the next transaction, the next block. One, many transaction, one block. Next block, many blocks, one blockchain or one tangle. And that's how it works. And as long as someone creates a block, as long as that is happening, a cryptocurrency can't die, Okay. So that needs the internet for sure because of the connection with the computers.
Right.
And so this is really it's not backed by gold, but it can't die because of the internet backing it up.
So I've also heard of like other I actually heard the UFC website had a code on it that was when other people would visit the UFC website, it would somehow be mining Bitcoin or like be I can't remember the terminology, but
Yeah.
it worked where
It is.
yeah.
It is possible that there are some certain browsers who use the computing power of your PC, of your computer, to help solving the riddle.
Right.
Yeah,
Just more processing power.
It's all solving this riddle for the next for the next block.
And so that's creating currency. That's creating actual.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now I'm explaining it. Okay. See, the thing is, you want to know if you say I sent you money, you want to have clear that I sent and you get, and that no one can get it, and that no one can do it the second time, and another time, and so it's double spent, and you lose double the money from your wallet.
Yeah.
So to make that clear, the transactions need to be verified by a very, very difficult riddle to solve.
Right. Yeah.
Because if you solve that riddle, it takes a lot of computing power to de-solve that riddle and change the transaction. So if you have one riddle and another, and it sits all together, it's interconnected because the first riddle has part of the second, and the second has part of the first and the third. So they're all connected like a chain. That's why it's blockchain.
Yeah, I see.
So if you can't take one, you need to also copy the first and the third.
Right.
And that's the problem. And all this computing power is just too much. And the difficulty rises to have it difficult to cheat on it. But the thing is that with the high difficulty, you need a very good computer for it. And so that creates mining pools.
Right.
Yeah. So many people getting together and mining. Like on this homepage, all the users visiting the homepage is one pool then.
Right.
And the problem this created, and with Bitcoin and also Bitcoin Cash and many others, it's present, that proof of work, this whole thing is called. With computing power, it's called proof of work. Yeah. So the problem this creates is that some people who have much money have big computer farms, mining farms, and special chips which are not usable for notebooks or for normal computing.
Right.
So it's a lot of waste of energy. It's a lot of waste of material. So it's not a good thing. So that's why they started to create proof of stake. So there's one stakeholder and they do the mathematics and then get the new coins, because mining is the wrong word. They called it mining because as verification for their work, they get new coins. If there are new coins created still, they get new coins and they get the money from the fees. Yeah. So that's what the miners, the computer guys get. With proof of stake, it's people who have a certain amount of coins get more coins for doing the mathematics, for doing the riddle. But think about it. Dash, for example, or Ethereum, you gotta have 1,000 Dash to be a stakeholder. One Dash costs 650 euro. So who has then a stakeholder?
Right.
People with money.
Yeah. Right.
So what does this mean? Rich get richer because they get more coins.
Sure.
So this is not a good system.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
What IOTA does is little proof of work and the verification of two other transactions. So a combination of it with little proof of work, you have little computing power. So my mobile phone can do it, or my computer can do it at home. So that was the core idea of proof of work, that a little computer can do it. But in these days, the big coins, because they're worth so much, have become a business, where mining has become a business.
Right.
So things have changed. But ultimately, with Verge, going back to Verge, with Verge, they have 5 algorithms, it's called. So methods of solving the riddle. So it's one does this kind of method, another, and 5 altogether. So this means it can't be one person owning one computing power and solve all the riddles, get all the coins. That doesn't work. Yeah, because it's 5 different, it will be spread between these 5 methods.
Okay, yeah.
So it's decentral again. Yeah, decentralized again. But the Justin, or called Sonarock, that's the main developer and the one who founded Verge. He said that once all coins are out in the public, we are now at 15.5 billion and 16.5 billion will be coming out. So in 2 or 3 years, when all coins are in the public, he will change the algorithm to proof of stake. What I just said, rich get richer, but everyone is a stakeholder. And there is no coins being given out. So a stakeholder just serves the community and does get nothing back for it.
Oh, interesting.
So not the rich get richer, but everybody helps the community.
I see.
So it's a good proof of stake,
model.
you can say. There's bad proof of stake, good proof of stake. So you got to be conscious if you buy a coin, who does it? Who did it? Is it decentral? Is there a company behind it? Did they keep coins for themselves? Yeah, Sonarock didn't keep coins for himself and he didn't collect money. If they need some advertisement to do for Verge, they ask the community for donations. So I sent some 1,000 Verge, like many others send, and now they're doing advertisement on Facebook or somewhere else, you know?
Right, yeah.
So it's a very good decentral thing how it's run. And the perfect coin is decentral, cheap or free, fast and reliable.
Yeah.
And so the purpose is a good thing, and is decentral with the mining and is decentral with the company behind it. So I guess that's it. That's really the main things, you know, what you look for.
In I really like hearing you talk about it. It's just hard. I only still feel like I slightly get it. Like I'd have to really get into it myself, probably as you did, and be obsessed about it and really delve into all this stuff. But I can just imagine people, like other people too, who are even less intrigued than me about it, would find this so intimidating and overwhelming to try to get into on their own.
It's not that difficult, really. But the thing is, the way of doing it, like interfering with a wallet, is really easy.
Right.
If it's a good wallet. And the Tor wallet, the Android wallet of Verge, for example, or the Bitcoin Cash wallet, the wallets of Bitcoin Cash is very easy.
Right. So like actually when you do it and get in, it's actually a simple process to do.
Yeah.
But
It's not
I
too
do
difficult.
find I think most of all, I'm just fascinated by the potential and like what's going to happen in the future. Like what will this change in the future? And that is really exciting for sure. And I'm on board for that. I think it's...
I don't talk, I can't say publicly how much money I have. That would be crazy.
Yeah.
I'm not a millionaire. I'm not in the 100,000s. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I can tell you, I really made a lot of money out of the money I put in.
Right. So does that mean now that you
helps you to get crazy for it?
Like do you still have all of the money in the first Bitcoin? Do you still own Bitcoin?
No,
you don't.
I own only. You can if you have the overall sum, you can divide it through the amount a Bitcoin is worth, right?
Yeah.
So then you know equal amount of Bitcoin you own.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So I lost from buying altcoins and not supporting Bitcoin anymore. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just so you know, I only have half of my Bitcoin left.
Okay.
And it wasn't much, but since one Bitcoin is $15,000, it's a little pile I'm having.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
It's below the tens. Yeah. Just really, I don't want to say the number, but I know that people think this guy motherfucker is rich or something. No, I'm not. And for me, it's not. It's just like with my work, you know. It's not about the money. Mm-hmm. It's really about the cause to free this planet, to free humanity from the bank system. It's
the potential
actually,
it has.
It's modern.
Yeah.
It's modern enslavement we are in. Go not to work, and you will see what I mean with enslavement. We are slaves to the money and to the taxes coming with it. See, the medical system wants to keep you sick so they can earn money with you.
Well, I mean,
That's
even
how
if
the
it's
medical
not
system
that malicious in their intent, it's just that money is just it's the highest order, and I do believe if anything is holding us, if something is holding us down more than anything, it's just people work too much. And then when I talk about like before my girlfriend and I say getting into arguments, it's often when we're just overworked. She's working too many hours. We come home tired. The only time we interact is when we're tired and hungry. And so we're already sort of like irritable and whatever. It makes it very difficult. And actually, we've noticed over the years that when, like, say this next period here, she's going to have time off for Christmas, and I'm going to have some time off, and that's when we connect the most, and we're at our happiest. We have some free time, even just a little bit of free time, because like for people, when do you ever wake up as an adult? You know, as a younger person, this might happen, but as an adult, when do you wake up and actually like get out of bed and think, what am I going to do today? I could do anything I want today. That never happens almost. You always have something to do. There's things to be repaired. There's whatever, you know, and it's not just the money, but the processes we have to go through. Everything has become so bureaucratic, and that there's so much paperwork. You have to get permits for everything you do. There's a lot of just hassle in the way, and I think that is weighing on people a lot, and a lot of that is just things cost a lot. People make more money, but things cost more money too.
You're right, and that creates drug addiction. That creates being lost in the mind. That creates suffering a lot. And the thing is, if we spread all the money we have on this planet, all the wealth we have on this planet, every human being on this planet would be having enough to eat, enough to live, enough to drink.
If somehow we could spread
enough to wear clothes.
It's not easy.
Everyone.
Well, if you look at like I've been working with people with addiction problems and whatnot for a couple of years. I'm talking about it on this podcast, obviously. But if you look at who is what group of people is most at risk for being addicted to drugs or having these kind of problems, it's not any group racially, it's not anything. It has to do with money. It's who is the poorest people. Well, those people are going to suffer the most. It's pretty clear. It's not that complicated. It's just and then often race does come into it, because there'll be, because of one reason or another, a certain group of people, a certain race of people are somehow some of the most poorest people in different countries, and then those people get stigmatized as like, oh, these guys can't get their shit together. Well, no, they're super on the low end of the spectrum here, on the economy spectrum, and that just it creates a lot of problems.
About
like
money.
Right now, my girlfriend and I, my partner and I, we make pretty good money, but I still find myself broke. How are we so broke? Like what kind of hamster wheel are we on right now where we just can't get ahead? It's very hard to just be ahead. And if I think about that with us, well, there's people out there making half as much money as us, easy, and less than that. And how are they getting by? Because it's tough. It's not easy. It's very hard.
Let me also say, you know, if people imagine I'm getting really rich with this work, spiritual work, I'm not, you know. I'm only doing 2 mushroom sessions per month, you know, because I need to get my energy up, and I want to serve everyone 100%. And it needs a lot of time and energy on my side. So I would never do it more often than maximum 3 times, and only under rare circumstances. And toad the same, you know, I do very few toad sessions per month to keep quality up, because quality is the most important thing. Security and, you know, the human being coming to me, the client is the king, you know, is the goal for it. The enlightenment level, the non-dual experience level for the client, that's the main goal. And so I wouldn't say we are rich. It's the same what you said. Yet my wife is still working a lot, you know, and I'm having the house and the kids and mushroom growing, toad caring, cats, everything, you know. So, and then the spiritual work too. But the thing is, I would love to share, and I'm sharing a lot with my friends. When I'm getting something extra, I'm always spreading the money to my friends who have even less. But really, the thing is that, and let me say that and finish it up with the whole money talk. What really helps for everyone out there, and to keep that in mind, there is a higher mean behind all what is actually happening on this planet, in humanity. It has a reason that is happening that way. There's a reason that there is suffering on the planet. It's one consciousness learning how to is experiencing life. So poor life, rich life, greedy life, jealous life, lovely life, bad life, angry life, murder life, all kinds of life. And so we are judging it as this is not good, this is a bad shit.
Right.
And I'm as ambitious I am, and I'm saying I want to free the humanity with cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
I on the same level acknowledge the fact that I'm just a dumb human and that God, love, the source, the one energy, the the vibrational field, Akasha, whatever, that this knows that this unitary consciousness has the best plan, has the best idea, has a higher mean behind it all. And when you look at these poor people everywhere on the planet, they have a bigger smile on their heart and face than every Westerner you can easily find around here. So we are huffing and puffing to become enlightened, and they are just beyond us with nothing. And that's the key.
I mean, it's possible. I wouldn't say they're all at that level. It could be, But I understand what you mean. It's possible.
Though. But the thing is, the less you have, the more you are, and that's the thing. It's not about having, becoming, getting. It's about being. Yeah. And that's really, everyone, please keep this in mind. It's all okay. We are perfect. Perfect and imperfectly all right, and it's just perfect.
There's a couple of things. So like one being I've worked with people, say, like I said before, who are maybe down and out. I've worked with like people who are homeless in my community and whatnot. What I notice a lot about these people is they don't have hardly anything, but they will gladly give up what they do have if someone else needs something. It's actually, it's so amazing to see people. It's cold here too. I live in northern Canada where it gets very cold, and people are constantly giving their gloves and toques and sweaters away to people who need them, who are also on the street or whatever. And that it's continuous. It's the community. It's really cool when you see people who don't have hardly anything give up what they have for people who ask, and they're very giving in that way. It's interesting. And some people who have a lot are so tight and don't want to give up anything. It's funny, but what was the other thing I wanted to say? Just that when I look back and I think about things that I find, say, embarrassing that I've done, often what embarrasses me sometimes when I look back at myself, say on podcasts, and I think, was I just giving a bunch of advice to people? God, why am I giving people advice? I shouldn't be giving advice. And I think it's like what you had just said reminded me of that, because we can talk about these big ideas and all the stuff that we feel, but I also have that as well, that I don't know anything either. I'm very, very ignorant of naive as far as what's going on beyond this. I do imagine there's something meaningful going on, that there is higher energies or things at work here, The great mystery around us is happening. And I do not know what that is. And I like to share what's worked for me, but I definitely, at this point, I try not to be too much giving advice to people, because that when I look back, I'm never happy with it. I'm like, what are you doing telling people how to live? You don't know. Like,
sure. I mean, the thing is, when I'm getting mail, some people write me like I'm this and that, and I'm blah blah blah, and sometimes, like I said, when I'm in person with them, when we're getting together in a session, then there's coming stuff through me, and I'm telling them unpleasant stuff. But I would never write this down when they just write me an email, because who am I to give advice? What the fuck? Yeah,
it becomes a weird thing, but it's something sort of natural to. It's okay to do that. It just comes through.
When you're with someone and you're really close to them, in the situation, then it might happen. Then something comes through you, but not judging. And that's the thing.
And yeah,
if it's judgmental, it's not free energy.
Right.
It's not pure energy. It's not love.
Yeah. And it's something, it's different when you have a relationship with a person too. I think it's okay to give advice sometimes when you see someone close to you who is struggling, and you can say, well, I've seen you struggle with this throughout your life here or the last few years. I think you should do this differently. And that's what I would do if I were you, and that's just how I feel about it. It's okay to say that. But I think when you say on a podcast and you're sort of grandstanding and you can be, well, this is how the world should live and the world should be like this. And it becomes it bugs me when I get like that. And I do get like that. Sometimes I like to get really into that, just theorizing. Anyway, this has been a lot of fun, Olli. This has been a really fun conversation.
Cool.
I think my favorite one we've done so far.
Thank you.
Yeah, how long has it been anyway? How long have we been talking for? Just about 2 hours, it looks like.
Yeah, like always, and it was flying by. It's so crazy.
Awesome. Well, I mean, is there any other last things you want to say, or
No, really not. People, be gentle with yourself. Be grateful for life. Love everyone, and tell the truth. And
tell the truth.
Buy cryptocurrencies. But
put all your money in
research.
Yeah, I think I'll try to do a bit of research too after this, because it is really interesting. And man, if half of what the potential is there, if it reaches half of that, it could be amazing what these things could change, for sure.
It's mark my words, anonymous coins and fast and decentral stuff that will become the future, because it will help us.
All right, you said it. To change this podcast is going to go out, so if you're wrong, you're going to hear about it in say 10, 15 years.
Yeah, sure. But I have this millionaire.
Okay, so he knows what he's doing. An investment banker. He must know.
He has a very lucky hand, and he's so calm and very
he knows what
deep
he's doing.
Spiritual person. You remember he was a guest on a weekend, and he had a very magical experience with the mushrooms, and he's a very special person. Yeah,
cool.
Like we all are, like we all are.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So, well, thanks again, and I guess we'll meet up again next December. Hey, it seems like how it's going.
Yeah. Latest. Definitely. It's so lovely. Once a year. Let's stick with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And good. Like not luck, but every good wishes. For that studio you're building.
Thank you. Yeah.
And that people see our talk and jump back on the Change Truth train.
Yeah, 100%.
And that more and more people get in. Everyone I talked about it, and a lot of people write me who saw it. They say you are such a sweet guy and you have such a professional format, and really you need much more attention than you've had.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
So let's get back to business.